the next day and I wanted to give you a follow-up on the pie crust. First of all, the pie was amazing. It was really, really good. So my lesson to you is just, you know, follow your instincts, and you really can't. It's hard to mess up a pie, okay? I got it just the right thickness. You know, I was a little concerned. There was too much juice in there, and I ended up adding about 3 tablespoons of arrowroot, which there was still a decent amount of juice. I didn't want it to be too thick. I didn't want it to be runny, although if it's runny, it's fine. Just eat it with a spoon. But it set up just perfectly. And the crust, I thought the crust was delicious. It really tasted, to me, more like a traditional pie crust and not so much like the paleo ones that have more of a, which mine anyway, when I make it with almond flour, having more of that almond flavor, which is good, but it's different. It's right. It smells so good. I can't resist. You know what I mean. Almonds versus flour, they smell differently, and I just thought this one had that real traditional, almost like it was gluten-y flavor. The texture was great. It held together really nicely. Overall, I was thrilled with the way it turned out, okay? So I've cut this one and put it on a plate because I need to photograph it so I can publish that recipe. And then remember, the other half of the crust I left out to ferment. So I left it out overnight, and in the morning I took it and I put it in the fridge. That's what Farmhouse on Boone told me to do. But it was really dried out, which I think you can see. I mean, it's like, it just really dried out. And so it almost has like a film on the outside of it. So I have a little bit of water. It's actually warm water because my daughter was doing the dishes. So I'm going to try to just work this water in and see if I can get it to be a nice cohesive ball of dough again. I'm really dressed way too warmly for baking, but my son had a tennis match this morning, and it was really cold, and so we were just outside in the cold for about 2 hours, and I've just been out raking leaves. I'm just doing what I can to try to warm up, and I haven't warmed up yet. So I'm just going to keep trying to work this water in, because there's no way I could have rolled out that dough the way it was. It was too crumbly. Now what I fear is that I'm going to work it too much and it's going to be tough. We'll see. It's been in the fridge chilling. This feels good now. Maybe a little bit dry. I decided I'm going to make a pumpkin pie with this one because I'll be able to whip that out pretty fast. Let's see how it rolls. So the other question, besides just, okay, what was the dough like after sitting out overnight? The point of doing it was, the point of leaving it out to do the long ferment was the long ferment, right? To get more of those benefits of the fermentation, the probiotics, etc. So we'll see if it tastes different. It does have more of a sour smell. It smells good, but it smells like traditional sourdough bread, whereas yesterday it didn't really have that sour smell. So that means my sourdough is working. That means my starter is alive. We'll see how this one tastes. Because it's going to be a pumpkin pie and I'm just going to have the one single crust, There will probably be some trimmings left over, which I really want because I want to bake those just plain and really get a feel for what the dough itself actually tastes like. That makes sense? I think that's good. Well, thankfully, it seems good as new. It needed that little bit of water added, which was probably about a tablespoon. This seems to have cracked about the same amount as the one yesterday that I did fresh. I'm trying to really push that down on there so I have a nice crimped edge for my pumpkin pie. Alright, so I'm going to finish this crust. I'm going to make up my pumpkin filling. I'm going to bake it, and I'll come back one more time and give you a final assessment on the sourdough pie crust. But so far, I would say I am highly encouraged. Remember, my sourdough is made with gluten-free grains, not paleo flours. And my pie crust I did make with primarily paleo flours, almond flour and arrowroot, and then just a small amount, definitely the minority, with the gluten-free flour blend. So it's a combo. It's definitely not paleo, but it is lower grain and absolutely gluten-free. So I think this is going to be a good sort of compromise for my family. Certainly it's a really nice dough to work with. Okay, stay tuned for part 3. Hey there, everybody. Okay, final update on the gluten-free sourdough pie crust. So this is the pumpkin pie that I just made with the crust that I allowed to ferment overnight. Remember I showed you it was kind of dried out. I just added some water and then it still rolled out beautifully. So let me just show you this. Maybe we can zoom in a little bit, but with my paleo pie crust, which is almond flour and arrowroot, it's real hard to not get the edges too done because almond flour just burns. It's the same reason why if I'm gonna like batter and fry something, do like a chicken finger or a fish stick or something like that on the stovetop, I will not use almond flour because it just burns. It doesn't get brown and crispy like a cassava, tapioca, all the grain flours, that kind of thing. I do have some paleo, like a fried shrimp recipe on my website, so you can see the types of flours I use for that sort of thing. But remember, there is some almond flour in here, but it's not all almond flour. So that was one thing I noticed with the sourdough, with the different combination of flours. I would say it was probably a quarter to a third of the gluten-free flour blend, and the rest was the almond flour and arrowroot. You can't let that go to waste, right? So this is my classic pumpkin pie recipe. It's in my cookbook. So years ago, I wrote a book called Your Paleo Holiday, and you can get it on Amazon, Apple. It's an ebook. And this pumpkin pie recipe is in there. And I don't know that I have ever put it on my website anyplace, but if it is available for free, I'll link that below. But no promises. It might be one that is only available in that book, which you would have to pay for. Okay. I'm just cutting this to show you the crust. But I did make my little pie doughs. I didn't roll them up like I typically do. I just rolled it out flat, put a little butter, sprinkled the cinnamon and brown sugar. And if I just tasted an edge of the crust without the cinnamon or anything on it, it definitely has a sour flavor. It's a pleasant sour flavor, but it just reminds me of that classic like San Francisco sourdough. It definitely has that flavor, whereas the crust with the apple pie that I just made it rolled it out, didn't allow it to ferment, but still was using the sourdough starter, it does not have that sour flavor at all. So more sour flavor if you ferment, still works great. Tastes good. A really nice crust. And with the pumpkin pie, with the strong flavor, I don't taste that sour. It's not sour at all. It's perfect. It was a really nice crust to work with. So, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying the sourdough. If you have questions, please ask. I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. I'm in no way an expert. I'm the lead learner here. I'm still learning myself, but I have had a lot of success, and it's not a hard thing to do. So I'm happy to share any of my knowledge that I have. Thanks for watching this sort of marathon pie crust recipe. If you like this, be sure to like, share, subscribe, do all those great things, and come back next time. All right, have a great weekend. I don't know when you're watching this. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you next time.